Did you know there was 3 rules an investor should follow? Did you know about the top 3 rules real estate investors should follow? So there's 3 stages of investing in real estate. Of course, you have to do some research and analysis, right? You don't want to just throw everything into a cup, shake it around, and go, poop, I'll buy an investment property today. One of the first things you have to do is make sure it feels right in your gut, right? And then you got to do the math and make sure the numbers work out. So the gut check is something like this. You take a look at the property, it needs too much work, there's something initially wrong with it, depending upon the area, school district, cash flow. Don't even give it a second look. Next, move on. Next is the math. You have a bunch of numbers you need to crunch before jumping in and buying an investment property. The first one is repair costs. Are there initial repairs that are needed for the property? What are the monthly and annual upkeep of those repairs? Those have to be calculated in your cash flow. Rents, right? You got to check what the property is renting for. Comparable rents in the area. Are you going to have Section 8? Is that even allowed? Are you going to apply for it? And what do those rents look like? And will that cover your monthly mortgage if you have one? The PITI, principal and interest, taxes, and insurance. And then there's an A at the end for association, because you can't forget that if that's included in your mix of expenses. Then there's other expenses. Is there a pool that needs to be maintained? What about the maintenance of the yard? And or is there cable, sewer, internet? Things of that nature need to be accounted for. Of course, you're going to need to look at value. Make sure the value is there. Is the comparable to the market and comparable properties for sale or that have sold. Now we're in the contract stage, and this is where the numbers get really important. You got to plug all those numbers in and make sure that we still have cash flow and that the deal is profitable. Now you understand those stages, let's talk about some rules of thumb to follow during your offer. These quick and dirty rules are going to provide you some guidelines to make sure that you make a profitable investment. One of the most common rules of thumb is the 2% rule. And this is accomplished by taking the purchase price and dividing it by the rent. And does that equal 2%? Because that indicates positive cash flow. Of course, this is a rule of thumb. Nothing has to be exact, but the higher the number, the better the cash flow. So while the 2% rule provides a quick and dirty go or no-go decision, most investors rely on the 50% rule. This 50% rule states that if half of the income derived from the property can cover the operating expenses over time, then that seems to be a good way to designate cash flow. So let's go back to that $2,000 a month property, and let's say 50% is spent on expenses. You have $1,000 left. Okay, now you have a mortgage payment, and let's say you have $400 left. That $400 remaining is cash flow. And to some investors, that's the way to look at your 50% rule. Because inevitably over time there will be expenses and things that have to be repaired. And that's a guide to determine just how much to pay for a property. So basically what they're talking about there in that 70% rule for the flippers or wholesalers is that you should pay today 70% of the aftermarket value price of the home. So if the home in the future is worth $300,000, you're looking at what is today's price, and is that at least 30% lower when you're looking at. So a potential flipper would pay 70% of the aftermarket value minus any repair costs to make the deal work. Let's use the $300,000 aftermarket repair cost of a home. If that's the case and it requires $50,000 to be repaired, 70% of that is $210,000 minus the $50,000 repair cost gives us $160,000. So on that scenario, that flipper or wholesaler is going to look to pay at least $160,000 or lower to make sure the numbers work. So I hope you take these rules into consideration when you're looking at investment properties. And again, they're just guidelines for you to take a look at what your gut feels like and what the numbers work out to be. And make sure you do your homework and check and double check. When it comes to real estate investing, due diligence early on in the process is a must. Hi, I'm Aundrea Beach-Greco, your local mortgage expert. It's my passion to help you with the largest investment of your lifetime, your home. I've been helping Las Vegas residents for the last 23 years with their credit, wealth, and finances. If you're new to my channel, please make sure you subscribe. Tap that little bell. I post new content all the time, and I'd hate for you to miss it. In the meantime, if you have any questions, just reach out. I'm happy to help. Have an awesome day.